Okay, well, we'll get started. I'm Casey Johnson. I'm the Information Director for the WIA. Thanks for joining this on quick notice. We've had a few people asking for comment regarding the petition in March going on today. So thought we'd try to do this efficiently and have you all on one call instead of doing separate. So I'll introduce Mick Hoffman is our Executive Director of the WIA and I guess, is it technically your second year now? Can you say that?
Are starting the second year.
Threshold?
Yep.
And then Tim Thomsen is at Sumner Bonnie Lake, and he is our current board president as of probably a few weeks ago. So for this year. And so I'll just open it up to Mick to sort of address this topic in general, and then we'll open it up to questions. Feel free just to unmute yourself. There's only a handful of you here, so shouldn't be too disorganized and ask your question. So with that, go ahead and take it away, Mick.
Great. And I do appreciate everybody being here. I know we were starting to get quite a few inquiries, so we figured it might be easier with the timeline. Some of you were requesting to be here. So appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. You know, as a former social studies teacher, I think it's awesome that the kids are stepping up and seeking answers and getting involved in the process and not just feeling like victims. I mean, it's great. We should be able to answer questions. And we've had a lot of inquiries from parents and other community members over the last few months, and a lot of it falls along political divides, and we don't really want to get into the politics of this. We really want to stay focused on providing opportunity for kids. So the way we got here as the WIA is the guidelines that we have out. So if you haven't seen them, they're on our website, and they were tied originally. They came from in partnership with the National Federation of High Schools, and we connected those to the Governor Inslee's 4-phase plan. So schools would be able to, as they moved up and down through those phases, know what they would have the ability to do. And those guidelines had to be approved by the Department of Health, right? And so that way we knew we were in line with the Governor's Office, Department of Health, because they're working with the best scientists. They have better access to that than we do. So that was where we're at. As school started, there was some concerns around, you know, what does it look like? What are the optics of allowing students to come on campus and, you know, have 5 kids in a pod kicking a soccer ball around when we're not letting kids in classrooms? And we were very conscientious of that. It's a difficult question. And so about that time, the governor came out with the recommendation to have no extracurricular activities with all remote learning. And caught us a little bit off guard, but we understand, you know, the intent, trying to help school districts get up and running and focus on education. Part of what happens with that is when a recommendation comes, especially from somebody as well versed on this topic as the governor, is risk management groups came out and informed our schools that if they did not follow recommendations by the Department of Health and Governor's Office, that there could be insurance concerns. And so that in turn prevented schools from really being able to offer anything, even those schools that wanted to do it. And so that in turn shifted what we were able to provide or offer directly to the membership. So again, you know, to this point, it's been a really good team event. The governor and Department of Health providing information and setting those guidelines and us operating within that framework. We hope to continue to be that way. I know the survey focuses a lot on football. And in all honesty, football, we don't even have the metrics yet from the state agencies on what we have to be in phase. We are told phase 4+ for wrestling, football, competitive cheer and dance. And we haven't seen what those metrics are. We know what phase 4 looks like, but we don't know what 4+ is. And so we don't even have a target yet. And so our board made the decision based on the guidelines we're asked to operate under to adjust the seasons as they are now, with the caveat of number 1, offering low risk sports, the option in the fall, which became no longer available based on the recommendation and the insurance complication. And then number 2, they also voted as of September 27th, if we have recommendations that allow this, that kids can start working directly with coaches in pods of 5 or less. similar to what we had in our guidelines regarding phase 2. So, so there's lots of possibilities coming forward. Again, we're relying on the experts. In this case, it's the Department of Health and the Governor's Office. They've led our state, to this point, and with success as far as what we can see with data. And they have told us they're going to review those recommendations this fall at some point, based on other research and data that's coming from other states that are participating. What a study that was just done regarding youth soccer in the state, as well as studies from other organizations around the country. The one question that you may have that I honestly can't answer is why are guidelines different for youth sports than for school sports, education-based ones? And we don't know. Again, we're waiting for clarity on that, and so to see if we need to or can adjust our guidelines accordingly. So that's where we are to date. Again, we really we support student voice. We appreciate them asking the question, and we don't mind being challenged on those. We feel like as an organization, our mission is to serve all kids and provide opportunity, and this is a great example of the extended benefits of education-based activities when you get students involved in situations like this, whether directly or indirectly. So.
Okay, I'll open it up for questions. Feel free just to unmute yourself and fire away.
Mick, Larry Stone from the Seattle Times. Nice to talk to you. Thank you for doing this. What would it take at this point to sort of, for the kids to get what they want and to get to play this fall? Is there anything that they could show, or is it come down to what the doctors and the governor's office and the health department says? Yeah.
So right now, ultimately they're local decisions, right? But if the recommendation is no extracurricular activities, it's going to be very difficult for a school board or superintendent to go against that recommendation, understanding the potential insurance implications and other factors. And so I guess what we need to see is a continued decline in rates, and then the Department of Health and Governor's Office continuing to do the work they've been doing on evaluating at what point is it safe. And again, all these decisions that are being made by all agencies, including ourselves, are based on that health and safety. So right now we have a recommendation. The metrics need to be 25 per 100,000 for over 14 days. Before we're at a low risk, which would allow schools to go back to in-person, and under 100 for hybrid. And if the recommendation remains no extracurricular activities. So we're hoping to get clarity. Maybe some of the stuff can be done online, forensics, thespian, music, because those are extracurricular as well. So I know they have a lot of other items on their plate, and so we just need a little more clarity in what these guidelines mean, because then these risk management groups can help define options for school districts.
Drew Mikkelsen from King 5 News here. I'll jump in if that's okay. Could a district, big, small, whatever, go ahead and do their own season without WIAA's blessing? I mean, do the districts have that kind of authority, those leagues?
Yeah, great question. We are member driven, and so they are local control for that. If a district, we see that a lot in the middle school, where they'll run their own middle school league. A lot of times they'll still use our guidelines, they just won't be members. And so right now, what we're hearing is it's not so much having a league, because you need multiple school districts or schools involved in that. So a larger district maybe, but a smaller one could not. But it's really just having the ability, and again, the insurance piece is critical. I mean, think about that. We're not going to go drive our car without insurance, I sure hope. And a school district without liability coverage really puts their community in a very difficult situation. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge that's out there. At least that's what we're hearing. But yeah, they could. There's local control. They definitely have that option.
I think it's also important to note that all of our school districts are also governed by our county Department of Health. And they're telling us, where we are in our phases. They're telling us, what we're allowed to do. And they're our experts. Again, we're not experts. We have to depend on those folks to do that. So there's a lot of different layers here. And, Mick and the staff at WIAA have done a great job trying to navigate through these ever-changing waters. Again, some things change again today. But it would be very difficult for an individual school district to decide to go out on their own and do something and go against a county Department of Health and the state guidelines.
And that's a great point to make. So a lot of our approved guidelines say follow governor's recommendations, follow Department of Health, state and local, make sure that they're coordinated response, and then the guidelines that we put out as well. And so, school districts have a lot of requirements, and it's all tied to metrics. And the metrics essentially are being set by the state because, again, they're the experts. And so they were really good to us in March when we were trying to navigate the winter tournaments, and they've continued to review and evaluate. And our understanding is we should be seeing another review of those sometime this fall. So we're anxiously awaiting to see if we need to adjust guidelines again.
Mick, what would you say to these kids who are, going to rally today and seem very sincere and heartfelt in their desire to play? What kind of would be your message to them?
Well, first, great work. I mean, you should advocate for yourself and what you want. And then the second piece is, get answers to the questions. And unfortunately right now, no different than what we're seeing in a lot of other aspects of our state or country or community, folks who are in situations that can provide those answers, like Tim and I and the rest of the staff and board, we have to give answers people don't want to hear. And that's no fun. I mean, I went into teaching because I like working with kids. And I took this job because I thought, wow, you get the impact across the state and be a positive influence on hundreds of thousands of kids. So to have to deny the opportunity or to be part of the process that can't allow what they want. So I would say, hey, we hear you. We want to be out there more than anything. I can't wait till I'm getting questioned again with the media about moving a tournament or some other controversy that happens in a competition, because that means we're back playing. Kids are getting to play. And it was a big part of my life, and people who work in this business, it's a big part of their life. And, at least a benefit of what's going on today in Olympia is kids are getting motivated and educating themselves on how to be part of the solution in whatever way that looks like. So.
We're really thrilled with the kids, taking this stance and moving forward with it. As a board, though, we have some priorities. Number one is safety. Always has been, whether you're a school district person or on the WIAA board. Number two is really the social emotional health of our kids. And to be honest with you, the petition and marching in Olympia, that probably benefits them social emotionally, because they are taking a step. They are moving forward. And that's one of the reasons we applaud that. And then the third priority is giving teams and individuals an opportunity to meet their goals, but we can't miss the first two to try and focus on the third one. But the science keeps getting better. We keep getting better studies, more information, and we'll continue to make adjustments as that information comes in. But now Mick probably more than me, but I'm no expert on COVID virus. There are people that are much better at making those decisions to tell us, what is safe? How do we do it safely? How can we do it safely? So we are going to follow those recommendations and those guidelines, and we're going to encourage additional studies and additional information to come forward, and we'll make adjustments if it does, because we want number three. We want those kids to be out there achieving their goals and playing the sports they love. It's hard to sit here in my office and look out at Sunset Chev Stadium in Sumner and not see kids out there playing. It's hard on all of us.
And to Tim's point, as soon as we get done with this meeting, I'm jumping on a call with the 11 other Western State executive directors. So I'm in daily communication with at least one or two of them. A lot of them are the ones in states that are playing. And so we are actively tracking how it's going, what are they doing? You know, are they, when they're having outbreaks, how are they dealing with those? And then we are in turn sharing that information with our contacts in the governor's office and Department of Health to make sure that they have that information. They're getting a lot of information from a lot of different people. We're trying to bring in the, you know, sports specific information to them. So you know, it's all readily available. So as we work together to find a way to give kids what they want and need, there's not a delay in gathering information. So.
Hi, Shelby with Cairo here. I just wanted to make sure I have the schedule understanding correctly, because I'm looking at what's posted on the website. Can you just go over right now, and I know things can change, but tentatively what the plan would be for when you're thinking potentially sports might begin again for the students who are missing out this fall?
You bet. So we originally, right now, if you look on the calendar, we have them numbered by season. So season 1 was going to start this time of year. It was low risk, typical fall sports, golf, cross country, slow pitch softball, etc. When the recommendation came out and then the insurance complications as a result of that happened, school districts chose not to do that. So we have no schools that are using season 1. So then the next start date, unofficial start date, would be September 27th and November 30th, where coaches can work directly with students by rule, similar to what they do in the summer. And again, under those guidelines. So that's an informal time, wouldn't be a competition, but they would be able to come on campus or wherever they participate and work with those. Our next official season is December 28th. And that would be the start of our typical winter season. So the wrestling, the basketball, and that. So that's December 28th. And then we have football right now scheduled, and I'm trying to do this from memory, Shelby, so forgive me if I'm a day or two off, but around February 17th, a little bit earlier for football. Football is a unique situation because you can only play once a week. So we need to give a little more lead time. There's more required pre-practices. And then the rest of what is typically our fall season would start at the end of February. And then we would have our traditional spring season in May and June. And so we lined the sports up. The board was very, very diligent on lining the sports seasons up as typical. So students who typically, they would have access to their preferred sports. That if we started mixing and matching fall with winter or spring, now kids have to choose between maybe their two loves. And this way it would be their typical sport experience. The other piece is that we try to avoid as much overlap as possible. So it wouldn't delay kids jumping from one sport to another. So that's why we went to the 70% of a regular season. And then we do want to offer some type of culminating event with the understanding it could very well look different than what we typically have for say a basketball championship or football. We've been working with all our athletic directors around the state to compile their input on that. And the board will take a look at that information here in a couple weeks. So that's the way the season is set. We've stretched it to June 26th. Again, you know, we keep talking about these insurance complications, and insurance people aren't the bad people. They're actually the ones that protect us and allow us to be a little more creative. And they will cover students even after graduation up until the end of June. And so it gave us a little more flexibility to provide more opportunity. So that's the kind of thinking and critical conversations our board is having to provide as much opportunity for students as possible. So, you know, right now, most kids don't care about that, right? Because it's fall and we should be going to football games and soccer matches and volleyball matches. Heck, it drives me crazy sitting in my living room. And so we understand that. And if I'm a kid and I'm on the clock with only having 4 years, it's even more upset. And as a parent, I mean, my kids were very active in athletics and it would kill me. My grandson went to kindergarten online for the first time the other day. I mean, looking at that picture brought tears to my eyes, thinking how much fun he would have in the school with his peers. And so we get it from a very humanistic point of view. And so kids, ask the questions. We'll give you the answers, whether they're favorable or not. We're not going to lie. We're not going to dodge tough questions. It's a miserable situation to be in for all of us, and we're going to make the best of it. So, and we're going to provide absolutely positively as much option as possible, and it's nobody's fault, right? It is what it is, and we need to deal with it. So, so fortunately, the adults have hung in there together and worked together to try to bring opportunity as best we can to date, and we will not ever back off of that.
And I think one more quick comment regarding the schedule. You know, we have so many counties in this state, and each of them are kind of independent and they're at a different phase. So that's part of why we moved the start all the way to the end of December, was to try and give every kid in every school, in every sport, an opportunity to participate and play this year. And so had we started or moved winter sports to when they normally start, we know there would be some counties and some schools that would be left out. And so we're trying to do the best we can to make sure that every kid, again, from every corner of the state, has these opportunities.
Yeah, again, that's why Tim's here, right? He's the president. If you look at the phases, the current phases, over half of our counties would not be able to have any type of competition because they're in phase 2 or 1.5. And with the freeze on moving phases, again, it's not the governor's fault. It's not the Department of Health's fault. It's, hey, here's what they think is what they're hearing from science is the best health and safety. And so most of our schools could not even participate right now in a cross-country meet, even if they wanted to, based on those state-approved guidelines. And so that's the reality of what we're dealing with, as frustrating as it is. So for football, we don't even know the metrics yet of what we need, the target we need to hit to provide a football game. And I'm going to guess with what they're studying in the states that are playing, that we're going to have a really good idea, including what we can do for spectators, because kids want to play in front of their friends and they want to play in front of the people who love them, their family. And so, you know, I know that's all part of the planning that's going on right now at the Department of Health as they're reviewing these guidelines for us.
Any other questions? Good. All right. Going once, going twice. Sold.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for
being. Yeah.
Sorry,
I have the recording. If something goes wrong on your end, feel free to reach out to me and I can provide that to you. But otherwise, yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, we
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
your flexibility in doing this last minute. Just, we wanted to make sure we honored your timelines and try to be as efficient as possible. So thank you.
Thank you very much for doing this. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Good luck.
Bye.
Thanks.